Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dylan, and welcome to Dylan the Truth Podcast. If you guys are new to this channel, I would like for you guys to subscribe to it and also hit that like button. Deeply appreciate it. Now, this segment is about the NBA, but in particular, the Western Conference. This is what we call the Wild Wild West, and they call it the Wild Wild West for a reason. There's a lot of competitive teams in the Western Conference. Um, but so far, we're headed to that push towards the playoffs. The playoffs, I believe, starts the mid of April, and it seems like a lot of teams are jostling for spots, and some teams are trying to hang on to the play-in position. So I would go from number one to basically all the way to 11. Number one right now currently is Denver Nuggets. They're up. They're first place in the West. Right behind them is OKC Thunder. They're just a game behind them for the top spot in the West. Third is Minnesota Timberwolves. They are a game and a half back of Denver. The New Orleans Pelicans and the Clippers, LA Clippers. Well, Pelicans are fourth, LA Clippers are fifth, but they both have the identical records of 44 and 27. Both 6.5 games behind Denver. They're not gonna catch Denver. I think they're trying to, fight for who's gonna have the home court advantage in the first round. It looks like those two will meet up in the first round. Then you got in the sixth spot, the Sacramento Kings, which has identical record with Dallas Mavericks, which is seventh, 42 and 29. Both teams are 8.5 behind Denver Nuggets. They're definitely not catching them. Well, Dallas is in the play-in. 7 through 10 is play-in teams. The eighth team is Phoenix Suns. They're 42 and 30. And the Los Angeles Lakers are ninth with a record of 39 and 32. And 10th is Golden State Warriors with 36 and 34. But here's the kicker now. The Houston Rockets are starting to pop up. They've been on a serious winning streak. I believe they won about 8 or 9 games in a row. And lo and behold, they're right behind. They're in the thick of things. They're on the outside looking in the play-in, but they're literally half a game behind the Golden State Warriors. They're 36 and 35. Now, it's going to make this very interesting going down the stretch because we thought that, the Lakers and Golden State was going to be a lock for the number 9 and 10 seed. So basically, they could play each other in the play-in. So how the play-in works, if you're in the 7th and 8th seed, the winner of that match will face the number 2 seeded team, which would be OKC. The loser will get an opportunity to face the winner of the number 9th and 10th seed. The only difference with the 9 and 10 seed is a sudden death game. So whoever wins, gets to face the loser of the 7th and 8th seed game, which, by the way, the loser of the 9th and 10th team, they just go home. That's the season. So if you're one of these playing teams, you want to move up to like 7 or 8 because let's just say, for whatever reason, you don't have your game that night, you still get a second crack at it. And then hopefully you can win that second opportunity. Whereas if you're 9 to 10, it's a sudden death. It's all for the marbles. So it's going to be interesting. But Golden State, what I have to say about them, they've been slipping of late. I mean, if you go for the start of the season, there was predictions. They had their favorites of who was going to win the title come this season. I believe Denver was number one. I think Boston was second. There was some other team, and then Golden State was fourth or fifth of the odds of winning it, and then Lakers were right behind them. But as of right now, Golden State doesn't look too good. And if I'm the Golden State Warriors fans, I would be very worried because there's no room for errors right now. You got Houston Rockets on your tail. You guys have to win these games because Houston, it seems like their schedule is pretty easy. So they look like, they'll continue to win. Obviously, they're going to lose a couple of them, but they seem like they're heading on the right track. I honestly didn't see this one coming. I thought Houston was kind of too far back. They kind of waited too late to make a run. And, they'll prepare for the draft. But they're making a bit of noise. And for Draymond Green to say that, he doesn't give a damn about the Houston Rockets, I think that's just fake confidence. I think he had no choice but to say that because he's in front of the camera. So he has to say that. What else do you expect him to say? Where you wanted him to say, "Oh, we're nervous." He is nervous, but he's not gonna admit to the public that he's nervous. I know they're nervous, and they're well aware that Houston Rockets is on their tail, and if they don't smarten up, they might not even make the play, which would be very devastating for not only the Warriors and the Warriors fans, but also for the NBA because they love Steph Curry. So I'm pretty sure they'll find a way to get Golden State in. I just, as much as Houston is making noise and it's making it a bit interesting to knock off Golden State from that final playing spot, something my gut tells me that Golden State will hang on to that spot. I don't see them moving past the Lakers. I just feel like they'll stay right at the 10th spot because the way I look at Golden State, the Golden State has been very inconsistent. Even when they were on that winning streak, they were beating like mediocre teams, and then when they went up against good teams, they lose. They get exposed because they're a small team. They rely on perimeter shots, and once you live by the shots, you die by the shots. You're not gonna beat a lot of teams that have size, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Pelicans, Dallas. These teams have size, so that's gonna create problems for Golden State. Um, that's the disadvantage that they're in. Now, I did mention the Lakers. The Lakers, I'm not gonna lie, they're my team, but they've been very disappointed. I had high hopes. They should have been a top three team in the West, but there was a lot of injuries. A lot of players were in and out of the lineup. They didn't know which lineup to go with. Austin Reeves started and he had to come off the bench, and then they started to put D'Lo on the bench, and then he ended up going back to the starting lineup. Then they started Rui Hachimura. I mean, there was so many lineup changes. Torian Prince was starting for quite a bit. Cam Reddish, Vando was playing really well and before he got hurt. So that's a bit of a setback. There was a lot of things going on with the Lakers. Gabe Vincent only played maybe 4 or 5 games, and he was out for pretty much majority of the season. He's supposed to come back just before the playoffs start. So I believe if they were fully healthy, I believe the Lakers would have been much dangerous, and I believe they would have been in a better position in the Western Conference. I really believe that because you could see these games that they've been winning. They beat some elite teams. They beat Boston. They beat Milwaukee. They beaten Clippers 3 times. They beat the Pelicans twice. They beat OKC 3 times. That's a team they completely own. And I don't believe OKC wants to see the Lakers in the first round. They will try to avoid them at all costs. They beat Dallas. They beat Phoenix. I mean, they've beaten a lot of good teams. There's only a couple teams that's like kryptonite to Los Angeles Lakers, which is Denver Nuggets and the Sacramento Kings. These are the two teams, for whatever reason, the Lakers just can't figure them out. Um, I mean, if you look at the matchup against Denver, the Lakers put up a bit of a fight, but when it comes to hitting big shots and grabbing big rebounds and making winning plays, for whatever reason, it goes away in the last couple of minutes of the game. And then the game starts to slip away from the Lakers, and then, the results. Whereas with the Kings usually just beat the Lakers convincingly. Like these games are not even close. And Sabonis has had his way with Anthony Davis. Sabonis is a very physical guy. Anthony Davis is more of a finesse type player. But I feel like you gotta stand your ground. Like let them know that you're there. Don't just keep letting them bully you like that. Because we all know the universe, the whole world knows that Anthony Davis is an all around better player than Sabonis. But Sabonis plays with a bit of an edge. He's more physical. Usually, when players play like that, it usually benefits the team when they play physical and not so much relying on finesse. You got to mix it up because if somebody is punching you, you got to punch back. And I feel that's what Anthony Davis needs to do when he matches up with guys like Sabonis, guys like Joker, even Nurkic on the Phoenix Suns. It seems like he has difficulty with European centers. I don't know why that is, but if you look at the history, he just has problems with those European centers. No clue. But it should be very interesting. If I had to predict who's gonna finish where, I think OKC will get the top spot. I think Denver will slip a little bit because I feel like they're gonna rest a lot of their players towards the end of the season, so they don't really have much to play for. They already clinched the playoffs, so it's more so like okay, they're trying to go for the top spot, but really and truly, Denver doesn't really care where they finish. They're the defending champs. They've been there, done that, so they know what it takes to get to the finals again. So I don't believe they really need that home court advantage. Whereas with OKC, which is a very young team, they really need that. That would boost their confidence. Playing in their home crowd the first two games, and then you go on the road for the next two games. It would help young teams like OKC, even the Timberwolves. But as far as the rest of these teams, I believe it doesn't really matter the seedings. Um, but yeah, I just feel like Thunder will get that top spot, and I believe as far as the play-in, um, I think it just remains the way it is right now. I think the Lakers will still be in ninth in the play-in for the play-in, and Golden State will hang on to that 10th spot. Phoenix, I believe, will be in the play-in. I just don't know if they'll finish seventh or eighth, and it's a toss up between Dallas and Sacramento. That's just how I look at it. I can't wait for the playoffs to start, man. This is going to be a really interesting season, and I can't wait for this. I would like to thank everybody who tuned into this video. Till next time, peace.